Hey there, everybody. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to make a special announcement. I am excited about this. Thursday, September 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I am going to host my first webinar. I am super excited about this. This is going to be the Church Finance and Minister Tax Year-End Wrap-Up. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all the things you need to have in place to get you ready for the fourth quarter of the year, including year-end documentation, how to handle those love offerings, those Christmas bonuses, who gets a W-2, who gets a 1099, getting your housing allowance in place, all the goodies, okay? So the cool thing about this is the webinar is only $17 to attend. All right, so you need to go to churchfinances.ck.page/wrap up. That's WRAPUP to sign up. Pay your $17, get on the list. It's limited to the first 100 churches that sign up. So I hope to see you there. I'm super excited about it. And now let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Church Finance and Minister Tax Podcast. My name is Michelle Brown, and I'm honored to be your host. We all know why we're here, as the name says it all, so let's get started. Hello. Welcome to episode 78 of the podcast. I am super excited about this. I was recently asked by someone that said they wanted to get into bookkeeping, their own firm, and they wanted to serve churches. So their question to me was, how would I do that? What services would I offer a church? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So whether you are a bookkeeping professional or want to be a bookkeeping professional that wants to serve church clients, or if you are actually on a church staff and you're thinking about outsourcing and you're wondering what exactly do I need to outsource, that's what this episode is going to help you with. So you ready? Let's go. So obviously the first thing that you, as a bookkeeping professional, the service that you would provide is bookkeeping. Okay. So for me, what I do for bookkeeping is I provide bank reconciliations, credit card reconciliations, loan reconciliations. I do the categorizing of all the expenses, and then I print out and send the monthly statement of activities, statement of financial position, and the actual versus budget report. You will notice one thing I did not say is I do not pay their bills. I do not touch their money. Okay, I have no authority whatsoever to do transfers of any kind. I don't write any checks. I don't sign any checks. I don't pay any bills. All of that, the church retains the control over that. Okay, a lot of bills, I would say 95%, you could probably get put on ACH or automatic withdrawal for payments. Okay. Of course, there's going to be stragglers that are needing reimbursement checks for this and that, and that's why you'll still need a checkbook, okay, and somebody to sign checks. But that is not to be your outsourced bookkeeper, okay? What they need to do is they need to take your data, make sure it is set up correctly in the bookkeeping software. They need to categorize it correctly, and then give you the reports and explain what the data means, okay? Don't just send your church clients reports and expect them to understand what it means. 8 times out of 10, they're not going to. You need to help them understand the numbers, okay? The second service that an outsourced bookkeeper can offer is payroll. But please do not offer payroll unless you understand church payroll. The number one way that churches get in trouble with the IRS is payroll taxes. That's number one, okay? So what you need to do is you need to understand the dual tax status of ministers. And what I'm doing, I currently do offer in-house payroll for all of my clients. I have them all on QuickBooks Desktop accountant version. But as you know, Intuit is on my poo list, and I'm trying my darndest to figure out how to get away from Intuit as much as possible. So I am actually talking with a company about using a third-party resource for processing my client's payroll. Now, what that means is they'll still pay me to do their payroll. They will turn their hours into me, and I will still enter the hours, but instead of entering their data into my in-house software, I will enter it into an online portal for the payroll processor. Okay. I am still going to set up all my clients to make sure they are set up properly. I will still review the reports to make sure everything is being calculated correctly. I will still print reports and send them to my churches every time I process payroll. And I will make sure that the third-party processor is making those quarterly payments, those quarterly filing requirements, and year-end W-2s. Okay, so the reason my logic in doing this is because I am the only one that processes payroll. What if something happens and it's just physically impossible for me to process a payroll either on the 1st or the 15th, which is what my SOP does, okay? That's not fair to the churches. So to make sure that they still have a way to process, or if when a client transitions, if they decide to transition away from me and either do things in-house or go to another bookkeeper, it's just a whole lot easier to have everything done with a third-party processor when all you have to do is change the admin address and they've got the information, versus if all the data is on my desktop, my current in-house software, then if a client leaves our firm, then I would have to print reports and they would have to go and find everything new and set everything up new. Okay. So for me, it's going to be really, really weird to make this transition because, yes, I do have control issues, but I think in the long run, it's going to be much better for my clients because they're just going to be able, the long-term continuation of their payroll being processed with the same processor is going to happen. Okay. So the first thing you can do as a bookkeeping professional is provide bookkeeping services that include monthly reconciliations, categorizing of expenses, reporting, getting the reports to them, and you can also help them with budgeting. Next, you can provide payroll services. And then you can also, the last thing that I would say is educate your churches, educate your clients. That's what this podcast is for, is to educate you, whether you are on a church staff, a church volunteer, a pastor, you're a new church plant thinking about, planning a church, or you're a bookkeeping and tax professional who wants to serve church clients. You've got to know churches. You've got to understand the unique nuances of church bookkeeping, of church payroll, of church, if a church is to get audited or a minister gets audited, what is the IRS looking for? What policies and procedures, finance-wise, does your church need to have in place? Okay, so much stuff to go on. So first of all, as a bookkeeping professional, you need to educate yourself on church finances, church taxes, minister taxes, church payroll, and minister payroll, so that you can then therefore educate your clients. Because that's my favorite part of my job, is doing the education and the training, and that's what I'm hoping to eventually get into doing more of, is the education and the training aspect, and doing less and less of the in-house bookkeeping and payroll processing. Okay. So that's the short and sweet of it. Okay. You don't have to do a whole lot, just getting that much of it down, doing the bookkeeping, doing the payroll, and educating yourself and your church clients. You can rock this. There is a tremendous need for those who understand the unique nuances of churches' finances, church payroll, and minister taxes. Okay, so I think that's going to wrap it up for today. As always, remember, let's all strive to make an impact and not just an income. And remember to look your best, do your best, and be your best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. thank you so very, very much for listening to the podcast today. And if you would do me a big favor and please leave a review on your podcast platform if you have not done so, because those reviews help the podcast to move up in the rankings, which helps it to be found by more. So the more positive reviews I can get, the more churches I can help. And second of all, if you know of somebody who you think this podcast could help, please share this podcast on social media.